The crowd whispered her name as if it were a curse, their voices sharp as knives. In the center of the town square, beneath the blistering sun, a girl stood with trembling hands, not because she was guilty, but because the world had already decided she was. And by sunrise the next day, her father would choose whether she lived or died. It was supposed to be the happiest morning of 17-year-old Amina's life. She woke to the smell of boiling chai and the rare gentle humming of her mother. Her hair, still damp from washing, clung softly to her cheeks. As she tied her school shoes, she paused in front of the small mirror nailed to her bedroom wall, smiling at nothing in particular, just happiness without reason, the kind that feels weightless. On the edge of her bed lay a folded notebook. Inside were 5 letters, all addressed to one boy. Arif. He lived just across the dusty lane and had never received a single one of them. She thought of him as she stepped outside, of their quiet glances, their awkward smiles, and the moment he had offered her his umbrella in the rain. In her world, these were tiny rebellions. And, as always, rebellions were dangerous. That afternoon, the whispers began. Someone saw her stand beneath the neem tree with Arif. Someone else claimed they heard her laugh. By evening, rumors flared like kerosene flames. When her father, Yusuf, returned home with calloused hands and aching shoulders, he found a crowd outside his gate. "Bring your daughter out," someone shouted. Her mother's hands shook as she undid the latch. Amina stepped forward. They dragged her to the center of their village, a bare circle of earth lined by cracked stones. The lines of men formed a wall, their faces closed with certainty. The women stayed in doorways, staring out through embroidered curtains. "Tell the truth," an elder demanded. "You dishonored your family, you were seen with a boy." Amina's voice broke. "We only talked." The elder shook his head. "Talking." He spat the word like poison. Her father stood at the edge of the circle, silent. His hands shook so slightly that only Amina could notice. She searched his eyes for something, understanding, fury, anything, but saw only confusion carved by fear. The elders declared judgment. Tonight, she would be confined and watched. Tomorrow morning, her father must decide her fate. She watched her father's expression shift, not from love to hate, but from certainty to terror. He had never imagined having to choose between his daughter and his honor. As they led her home, whispers followed her like shadows. Some faces showed disgust. Some pity. But none offered protection. That night, the silence in their home was unbearable. Her mother wept quietly in the kitchen. Her father paced outside under the moon, torn between love and centuries-old rules. And Amina sat on the floor of her room, clutching her letters to her chest. For the first time, she prayed not to be loved, only to be believed. Dawn arrived too soon. Yusuf spent the night leaning against the mud wall of his courtyard, his eyes raw from sleeplessness. Every childhood memory of his daughter drifted through his mind, the first time she called him Baba, the way she used to run barefoot into his arms after school, the nights she fell asleep on his chest as he told her stories. He also thought of the unspoken rules, the laws of honor that ran deeper than blood. In many societies, family reputation is tightly tied to the behavior of daughters, sometimes with deadly consequences. 1. The sun rose, spilling gold across the rooftops. The elders gathered near his front gate. Men leaned on sticks, while others folded their arms with grim expectation. They were not here to discuss, they were here to witness. Yusuf entered Amina's room. She stood quietly beside the window, her eyes swollen from crying. Baba, she whispered, do you believe me? The weight of the question shattered him. He sat beside her and took her trembling hands. You are my daughter, he said. That is all I need to know. Her tears fell silently. Outside, the crowd grew restless. At last, he stepped into the center of the town, the same place where she had been shamed, and faced them. The village elder stepped forward. Yusuf, he said, your honor lies in your hands. What is your decision? Yusuf lifted his head. I choose my daughter. The silence was instant, stunned and furious. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Someone shouted, he chooses dishonor. Another hissed, he brings shame on all of us. But Yusuf did not hear them. He only felt Amina's small fingers clutching his own as she joined him beside the well. I choose to protect her, he said. And I choose to protect every girl who is judged without proof. His voice cracked, but he did not lower his gaze. The elder turned red with outrage. She disobeyed tradition. Yusuf shook his head slowly. Tradition that takes life has no honor. A few men stepped forward, threatening, uncertain. But something unexpected happened. The women of the village began moving closer. First one, then two, then a dozen. One woman spoke from behind her veil, her voice trembling. I was once accused too, she whispered. Another added, my sister died for the same reason. Soon the air filled with quiet confessions, and the authority of fear began to crumble. The elders, threatened by change, muttered curses and left. The crowd slowly scattered. By noon, the town square was empty. Only Amina and her father stood there, facing each other in disbelief and relief. He pulled her tightly to his chest. Forgive me, he whispered. I almost forgot who you are. She hugged him, tears wetting his shoulder. I never doubted you. The scandal faded with time. Some voices still whispered, but the louder story remained, not that a girl stood with a boy under a tree, but that a father stood beside his daughter in the center of town. Their story traveled beyond the village. It became a quiet reminder whispered in neighboring homes. Sometimes courage is not loud, sometimes it is just choosing love over fear.